This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Phantom Boxing, a brand new company starting in late 2019. They sent us a great discount code for awesome subscribers. Go to phantomboxing.co.uk if you want to try enter their 6 styles of boxing gloves, headgear, groin guards, hand wraps, or their Cobra Reflex bag. And when you go to checkout and enter the code CombatCorp10 to save 10% off any and all purchases. That's CombatCorp10 for any and all purchases. Thanks again to Phantom Boxing, and enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Morrow. Today, I have a gear review of the Grant Pro Lace training gloves. Alright, everybody, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today we have one of the most requested pairs of gloves for the channel and a titan of the boxing industry. We have the Grant Pro Lace-Up Training Gloves. And what do I mean by the titan of the industry? If you watch my other titans, I consider a few brands, like when I just think of a championship boxing match or champions training in gloves, I think about Grant, Everlast, Winning, Reyes, Rival nowadays, and then of course we are starting to get into Venom a bit more. But Grant, for sure, is just like synonymous with the like high-end boxers of today. When you think of the people that used them, starting back in 1995, with Elvis Grant made his first pair of gloves for a championship fight, Evander Holyfield, James Toney, Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather Jr. Then you got Triple G, Canelo. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has used these. I mean, Bernard Hopkins, David Lemieux, name it. Someone has used Grants at one point. Guillermo Rigondeaux, I believe even Lomachenko has used Grants at one point in his career. Everyone has put on a pair of Grants because they have that reputation to them. And they are, for sure, one of the most high-end pairs of gloves on the market. To me, this is like the Louis Vuitton, I guess you could say, of the boxing glove world. You know, I say Everlast is more like Nike because it's out there. Some stuff's good, some stuff's just overpriced crap, whereas everything you get with Grant is amazing. The only thing about it, before I go into that and the history and stuff, is they are a little bit on the pricey side, and they are very difficult to get a hold of for most people. All right. Now, the idea behind Grant is, it even says here, there's grantworldwide.com, will bring you to their Facebook page where you can buy these gloves, which is the stock color red, black, and white, or you can get a stock color black, red, and white, and it kind of flips the colors around. Lace up or Velcro closure in 16 ounce is what I got them, and you can see the 16 ounce stamp right there. Now, how do I mean they're hard to get a hold of? Well, basically, once again, you can go on their Facebook and Instagram page. They sometimes have different sellers, but Grant is unique in that one way that they have no official salespeople. There's no middleman. It goes from Grant to you. That's the thing about these gloves that are so hard to get a hold of sometimes. Although I have seen sales on Outslayer, some eBay pages have Grant gloves, and I got these when I went down to Florida at MSM Fight Shop. It was the very last pair of training gloves by Grant they had. I had the money and said, you know what? When is the next time I'm going to get a pair of these? And bought them. Other than that, you kind of got to go to custom route. So you go to sales@grantworldwide.com and send them exactly what you want. And it takes, I think, if I read it right, about 4 to 8 weeks. If not, I've seen some people take upwards of 12 weeks. And one of my friends actually took about 3 months to get his pair of Grant boxing gloves. But of course, they're very high tailored. And I am to understand that their production has ramped up a little bit. Now, I believe they are made in California now, but I know these gloves, it has the HO in Mexico. I'm never going to get that pronunciation right, folks. I'm sorry. But basically, these were made in Mexico, this particular pair of gloves, but I believe they are based out of California now. But Elvis Grant made these in 1995 basically because he said everyone's breaking their hand using Everlast, Reyes, and all these other brands. I want something that is different, that looks different, and that acts different. And you know what? These gloves are used by a bunch of people. You know, Andre Ward's another guy, by the way, who's a world-famous champion that has used these. You know, in the MMA world, too, Kelvin Gastelum and Jose Aldo have used Grant as well to train in. Anyway, going back from the people to the glove, and he basically said, you know, people are breaking their hands. A lot of people don't use winning in fights because they're considered pillow gloves. These are actually a puncher's glove because of the padding that's on the inside, which we'll go into, but it's also a very big category that I call a defensive glove because of how rounded and big the glove is, right? If you watch my video of, like different styles of boxing gloves, there was punchers, pillows, hybrids, and then defensive gloves. This kind of falls in the hybrid category because it's a puncher's glove / defensive glove, but defensive gloves for me are gloves that are big, that have big rounded padding that cover just about all of my head that most defensive guys use, and they have a bunch of thick padding so you can land big, heavy shots. Big guy that comes to mind is Triple G because he lands big, heavy shots, but he's also a puncher at the same time. So that's the cool thing about these gloves is that if you have brittle hands, they work for you. If you're a puncher, they work for you. If you just like to outbox people, they work for you. They work for everybody, and they're also huge, so you can catch a lot of shots and do a bunch of other things with these gloves, which is why you see someone like Bernard Hopkins, who's a defensive wizard. Then you have, of course, Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's considered one of the best defensive fighters of all time, use these gloves because of how big and protective they are. Of course, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has hand issues, chronic hand issues. He actually hurt his hand in one of the original pairs of Grants, I want to say. I might be getting that wrong. We're going to look back to it. But basically, they've improved since then, and his chronic hand issues, of course, but the glove, he says the gloves for sure curved that from happening. He also used a couple winnings in fights as well, like against Zab Judah, and he used them in training, but he also used Grants a lot, along with Grant heavy bags. He just got a brand new pair of Grant mitts. They make everything if you just custom order these, right? You can do anything with them too, and you can ask them, and I've actually gone through the custom process. Unfortunately, I didn't have the funding at the time to do it, but these start you out at about $500, $475, and then I think the custom kind of only goes up depending on the materials. If you want like metallic stuff, it's double the price. But the glove is used by world champions for a lot of reasons, and we'll go into the look of the glove before we go into the design itself. We talk about the complete awesome logo that I love. The original logo used to just be a big Grant, would say Grant, and like a little short, it would be big lettering, short lettering, big lettering on the other side, and that's the vintage Grant. And then we have the awesome Grant logo now, which is a dude punching with a hook with the right hand staying up. And then we also have the grantworldwide.com thing here. Now, I've seen some Grant Worldwide gloves not have the .com logo, and then I've seen some that do. It all depends on when they were made. I know if you look at, there's an Elvis Grant video and he's showing off his gloves, and they all have that logo going down towards the bottom. So no, these are not fake. They came directly from MSM Fight Shop, and they came directly from Grant. So spotting a Grant fake is actually pretty easy. Basically, if it doesn't look like this, it's kind of fake. But you get the stock brand or the stock design, which once again we got red, that matte red all the way on the back of the punch surface, and we go all the way to the finger compartment here where your fingers rest. You get that underneath there as well. So it's a really nice shiny matte red. And then of course we have our split thumb, which Grant's one of the first companies to kind of do that, is to have a split colored thumb. We have black and white here, which also has that separated feature here. I'll go into that in the design. Also going back to the back, we have a black triple wrist cuff here. And then we go to the palm, which has a split color palm, which is white, black, with red piping around the laces with white laces. And then we have white stitching all the way throughout the palm here, okay? Now, the rest of the glove, as far as it looks, actually has these welted seams here, okay? So the seams, I believe, were actually burned into the glove, so it's keeping the glove completely tight together. So very rarely have I ever seen a pair of Grants like rip or anything on the inside or outside because of how tightly sewn together and how tightly made they are. They're a very well, tightly made glove, which is awesome. You couldn't ask for more with pairs of gloves like these. Now, going into the design of the glove, of course, is the outside shell, which is actually locked tight to the padding on the inside because of those welted seams. That's the thing about these gloves, is I can't, normally I'd pull up the leather for you, but I can't at all. There's nothing to pull up, but there is a thick layer of top grain cowhide leather all the way across the glove, and it's very tough, very durable leather. I've conditioned it a couple times, so it's very soft and supple right now, but it's a very durable leather that is sheathing a very thick, high density padding of latex. You got about 2.5 inches of latex padding that is rounded out. So you have that puncher's material on the inside. But the really interesting thing about the design to this glove is, unlike, say, a Reyes, even if it's laced up, you'll see a Reyes dip forward. It's a very, very well-balanced glove. And that's the thing I love about this glove, is that it feels light for 16 ounces. That's a perfect weight, but it balances. So Thanos would actually be a really big fan of this glove because there's balance in the universe. Nerd joke. Come at me, bro. Anyway, but if I hold it this way, it doesn't go down towards here, and it doesn't dip the padding there. It doesn't go down there or dip it. It's just perfectly balanced. It's a perfectly balanced glove. I love that. The triple wrist cuff makes it very easy for the laces to go through, as most gloves do, and it also gives you that nice wrist support. The other thing is about the wrist cuff, as well as the palm padding here, it's that standard. You get a lot of gloves like this. It feels like a softer version of what you get in the knuckles, but it is more of a high density, open cell foam, definitely here. Whereas the thumb, you kind of get the same feeling as you do on the palm and the back, with a little bit more firmness to it. And the thumb is very unique because you have that Japanese style looking thing here with that Mexican heritage at the same time, is that it's a separated thumb. It's not all one solid piece. This was stitched on after. You can see the split. But when I put my hand on the inside of the glove, my thumb is just automatically guided into that perfect punch spot, just like this. And it feels so natural and so comfortable. And that's the thing I love about Grant. The thumb is personally one of my favorite thumbs that any boxing glove has. I like Reyes, but it's very fat and you can smash your thumb sometimes. I like Winning, but sometimes I feel like it's too thin and it's keeping my thumb conjoined and formed upward, whereas this keeps me in like that perfect spot, and I like this. It also doesn't come out too much, so I can't really thumb people in the eye. I don't ever smash my thumb at all, and my thumb is very well hidden from the knuckles, so when I punch, it's nowhere even near where I'm going to strike with my thumb. The other thing is it keeps it pretty tight inward for that thumb attachment. There's no detached thumb whatsoever, and the thumb attachment is very, very well placed and well attached, okay? So it's not going to come out. Those welted seams kind of make sure of that. The stitching is all single lined, if we go throughout here, and double lined all throughout the palm, and single lined everywhere else on the glove with that welted seams going across, keeping it nice and tight. Now the interior lining is actually something that not a lot of gloves do. You have like a canvas cloth actually, and once you put your hands in towards the top of the finger compartment, you get like this rougher, I wish I could have a camera to show you, you get like this rougher, almost denim-like feel, but it's definitely canvas. It feels like the bottom of a boxing ring, which is actually pretty interesting on the inside of the glove, which also makes it very comfortable, and it's surprisingly soft on the back of my hands. Now obviously I'm going to be wearing hand wraps with these, but they dry out very quickly. I don't think they have like any special antimicrobial factors, so for sure, let these air out and dry for a while. But you also have the thumb holes here to let some air through on the inside. Now honestly, do they let a bunch of air in? No, normally thumb holes that small are not going to do it, but that's just how it goes, and they do a good enough job. It's actually a pretty breathable glove with really nice knuckle protection. Going back to that, with the latex, when I put my really trying to touch my knuckles, I can't feel it. I can understand there's something on the other side, my body's registering that, I can't feel my bare knuckles. But when I punch, it's that natural latex recoil, which is always a fun thing to have. So if you're a puncher, you'd like these. If you like throwing big bombs, you like these. If you have brittle hands, congrats, you can punch now without worrying about it. And once again, puts me in that nice curved natural position, especially when I tie the laces up here and I put it around right here. And that gives me such a secure fit. I wish the laces were a little bit longer. All I have to do is just go to the store and get a little bit longer laces. That's not a hard fix at all. But let's go into the bag work and the sparring view so you can see these gloves in action, and I'll show you why I like them so much.
All right, so hitting the bag with the Grant lace-up training gloves is awesome. Everything about the glove gives a puncher-like feel, but when I tell you, you feel a thud like no other. When you hit with Grant gloves, it feels like you are like crashing through buildings with each shot. It's just the gloves give you strength and power in your punches, and it's so fun to hit the bag with these. It's great with sparring too, and they're also very, very light and well-balanced gloves, so every time you hit, it has that nice sink-in feel like some punchers would, but once again, it just feels like I'm hitting that much harder with these gloves. They just give you a unique power. I also feel no recoil of the wrist. My knuckles feel nice and supported and protected. Everything about the glove is just great. I think anyone using the bag with these gloves will really like and enjoy using them for that purpose. I just feel so strong. I'm laying every shot into the bag. Alright, so you got that Grant look to it. That logo is nice and popping, and if you see someone using these in the gym, you're immediately going to say, that guy's got to be a pro or a very good collector that likes to do YouTube reviews, because these gloves look sick. That nice red color pops right out at you, and they have that professional look to it. I think you're really going to enjoy getting hit and seeing these gloves in your gym.
Alright folks, final verdict for the Grant lace-up training gloves. I love them. I think they're awesome, and Grant definitely has one of the most unique qualities of boxing gloves out there. The only thing that kind of drags them down from you getting a hold of them is the price, of course, and the way to get them. I mean, through a social media page is a little different for some brands out there, although some brands do it that way and it works well for them. Obviously, Grant makes a lot of money and has some of the best clients in the world. So, you know, don't knock what they're doing. It's working. But that's the thing at the end of the day. I think Grants were more meant for the complete professional crowd. Have I seen intermediate guys use these? Yes. Have I seen beginners use them? Not really. One time, and I was kind of angry because it's like, man, I should get a pair of those. You just started about 2 months ago. But that's the thing about these gloves, is I really think you ought to save them for the professional out there. I think they work for everybody. That's the thing, is like I said, if you're a puncher, you like throwing big punches, congrats. You got the big padding here that's going to protect your knuckles. If you have brittle hands, once again, protects your knuckles. If you like punching stuff and you're a big puncher, you want to outbox people, perfect. The latex is going to help you bounce off and do that anyway. And the fight gloves also have different types of foams that you can use, and same thing for the training gloves. You can either have latex or some orthopedic foams in there, but obviously that's going to drive up the cost a little bit. The custom process, I believe, takes upwards of 4 to 8 weeks, or if not 12. I've heard some people go 12 or 3 months before they got anything. So it takes a little bit to actually get the gloves in the mail, but it's worth it because they custom tailor it to you. I think you can even measure your hands and all that fun jazz. They have a bunch of different things you can do, like crocodile skin, metallic colors. And that's the thing about the metallic Grants, is that they don't flake like any other brand out there. In general, these gloves have held up well. I've had them for about 2.5 years, and they are still looking awesome. I use them for heavy sparring sessions. I like them for bag and mitt work, but honestly, sparring sessions is where I use these the most. I love them a lot for that. Although when I hit the bag, I get such a nice, unique feel that you don't get with a lot of gloves out there. Now, do I think they're as pure of a puncher as, say, Reyes? No, I don't. Do I think they're as pure as a pillow as, say, Winning? No. But do I think Grant definitely has their own thing going on here? Yes. Here's why you'd want a pair, is because I don't think there's a whole lot of gloves out there that replicate Grant perfectly. You know, Sabas has their Pro Series, that's pretty good, but for me, they're a little bit tight, and the padding's a little bit too hard always. Even though you break them in for a while, they're a little bit too stiff. And then, although they're a great pair of gloves and they're a lot cheaper, you know, Grant still kind of beats them in that category. Then there's New Sporting, who I believe used to make Grants, are very close, but they still are a little bit different compared to Grants themselves. Now, that's the thing about these gloves, is once again, they are hard to get a hold of. You have to go on their Facebook or Instagram page. Maybe you can find a used pair on eBay. That's where most people get their luck from, but most of the pairs I see are not 16-ounce training gloves. They are like 12-ounce fight gloves or something like that. And I don't know about you. I'm not 12-ounce, 10-ounce fight gloves. I don't know about you. I'm not buying a pair of 10-ounce fight gloves that's going to last me for a couple rounds. I want something that's going to last me forever. And that's what I'm getting with these. The leather is amazing. The padding's amazing. The glove has not broken down whatsoever in the last couple of years. And in general, they are just a phenomenal piece of equipment that I think every professional should get. With that said, for me, my personal rating for them, between comfortability, durability, and all that fun stuff, is a 10 out of 10, like the other gloves of the Titan world are. When you get like the Winnings, they're definitely 10 out of 10 because they do exactly what they're meant to do. They are the godfather that people copy off of. And then you have Everlast. You know, I think I gave one pair a 10 out of 10. The Reyes I gave 10 out of 10. Grant gets 10 out of 10, not just because of the name, because they perform so well. However, for the general populace, not a professional populace, a general populace, I would for sure tell you that they are in like the 5 to 6 out of 10 category, simply because they're awesome. But how serious are you taking the sport? Do you need a pair of gloves that's going to run you $500? Most people are going to tell you no, because they don't need something like that. They just need something they can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get, or they can just buy Ringsides or something off for $60 and be happy with. Beat the tar out of them before going back to it. I try and keep it PG-13, folks. But anyway, that's the idea behind the Grants. For professionals, if you need a big pair of gloves that's going to last you for a very long time, for many, 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 many training camps, I give them a 10 out of 10. Most pros I've known or worked with use Grant's equipment, whether it be gloves, cups, headgears, whatever it might be. They like Grant, and personally I do too. I think they are awesome. Do I think there's other alternatives out there for Grant? Sure, you could say that, but at the same time, I don't think anyone has gotten it quite like Grant has. I think Grant has that unique quality to it. That's why they're so expensive. Do I think you're paying for the logo a little bit? Sure, but most brands that know what they have are going to do that, and they are so rare to do that, and they get it perfect each time that they can charge you for that. I very rarely have heard anything negative about Grant, except for the Velcro models. I've heard that sometimes the Velcro gets very weak, and I also have heard that the stitching in the seams on the side tends to go away. But as far as the lace-up pair goes, so long as you take care of them, I don't have any like stitches hanging out here or anything. The glove's in perfect tact. So, once again, 10 out of 10 for me personally. I'd give them a 10 out of 10 for any professional that's looking for their forever glove. But if you're like a general populist guy that just kind of wants to start collecting or something, it's a must-have. At the end of the day, if you want to spend $500, that's up to your discretion. And if you want a custom pair, it's going to start going up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000 range, which is insane. But that's your prerogative, I suppose. All right, folks, with that said, I'm Al, the Postmaster Morrow with the Combat Corporation. Like, comment, subscribe, especially comment. Let me know what you thought about the video, and if you have any questions, of course, blow up the comment section below. I love answering all your questions. All right, folks, thanks for watching your source for combat sports. I'll see you on the next episode.
Hey everyone, just wanted to say thanks for watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content in the future. If you have any gloves that you want me to review or any other equipment that you want me to review, please drop recommendations down in the comments below. With that said, thanks for choosing the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.